Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Friday. I asked everybody in the chat before we came on. I said, is there anything else on the drum we could possibly bang on the drum for to talk about? And I think there is. It's biggest game of the year for the 49ers. A lot of people don't think the Niners are going to make it. I don't think they're going to win. I'm on the fence right now because I think I've been watching and listening to too much media, so that's probably my fault. But we got quite a crew in here tonight. We got Beto from Niner Sickness Podcast, my Monday co-host from the NWO.
What's up?
We got Wolf in here from Niner Gang Wolfcast. And once again, I've managed to trick Raj into coming on to the live stream again to come hang out with us, and he obliged.
I locked him in my basement.
Roofies.
He's actually at my house right now. And literally, as I was talking, another friend of ours just showed up to the dance. It's Amin the Dream. What's up, man?
What's up?
Like your hair, dog. I miss the days when I could actually style my hair like that. So we're here, guys. We're 2 days away from the biggest game in the franchise. Well, this year. And, a lot of us are nervous. I'm one of them. Some people are more confident, like Raj. This is as talented of a team, maybe even more talented than the Niners in some places that we've faced all year. Equal as an equal can be. And it's caused a lot of conversation against or for the 49ers. So I guess we could just start by saying, did the Niners even have a shot? And I'll start with Raj.
Of course they have a shot. They're the freaking most physical team in the NFC. They've won 12 games in a row. You got the weapons, CMC, Debo, Kittle. We can go down the list. Defensive Player of the Year finalist. They got Head Coach of the Year finalist. They got Assistant Coach of the Year finalist. They got Rookie of the Year finalist. Comeback Player of the Year finalist. Of course they have a shot. Any given Sunday. I don't care if the Eagles are the number one seed. They got Jalen Hurts, who everybody's saying is so much better than Brock Purdy, and I get it. Brock's the rookie, 7th round pick, Mr. Irrelevant. Nobody's ever been in this position. But the one thing that I keep seeing, or I don't see people say enough, is Jalen Hurts has the same amount of NFC Championship appearances as Brock Purdy. This is both their first NFC Championship appearance. And I get it. Jalen's great. He's the superstar in the making, MVP, finalist. He's a great player. He's had a hell of a season. But this is his first NFC Championship. So we're not going to sit here and say that they're unbeatable. They are very beatable. We have a team that's been so close. They're hungry. We talked about it off camera, how Deebo Samuel, this guy, last year he left the game with the ultimate sour taste in his mouth. Like, he doesn't want that to happen. Trent Williams, these guys are hungry. I know Philadelphia is hungry. I'm sure they are. I think our guys are hungry. Nick Bosa, these guys are doubted. And you know what happens when you're a team like the Niners and you're doubted? You're going to go out there to prove everybody wrong, man. And that's what I think this team is going to do. And 100%, we have a chance. There's people that say that we don't have a chance have not watched the 49ers play this year. They love to be counted out. So I hope they keep counting us out. The Niners have 100% have a chance in this game.
How you feeling about it, Wolf?
Oh, man. Like you said, man, I'm kind of in between. I'm really confident. But there is just that, that lingering feeling of any given Sunday, anything could happen. This is a must-win game. So there's that. But I feel really good about it, man. I think the 49ers are the most poised team. We've been here before overall. Nick Sirianni has a young team over there. They're doing really good. They might get shell-shocked, man. I think the 49ers, everybody's saying this is going to be a really close game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers just go out there and put them in their place, in their house. I really would not be surprised. So I'm feeling really good, man, but just a little bit of nervousness because it's win or go home.
I want to say hi to the chat real quick before this thing really gets rolling and I ignore everyone. I just want to say hello real quick to some folks that are always here. Bebop Jones was the first one in. Thanks for coming through. Raphael 562, Old Faithful of the stream. You've been with me since day one. I appreciate it. Same thing with Brian Culp, old school follower of the channel. I appreciate you always supporting our streams, no matter who is on with me or if I'm just staring at the camera like a moron talking to myself. We got David McNiner in here, David McNew, as always, coming through, being supportive. I love you guys. Who else we got here? We got my Wednesday co-host from First and Ted Talks Ball. I love this man. Good dude. A lot of good dudes on YouTube, man. I'm so glad I made a channel 4 years ago almost, and I got a chance to hang out with all you guys. So thank you, everyone, for coming through. Oh, we got the official in here. I don't know if I remember you. He says, bang, bang, Niner Gang. I appreciate you coming through. And old school, another supporter of the channel and on Twitter, 49er Throwback. Appreciate everybody coming through. Thanks for the kind words and the support for the channel. Means a lot to us and myself and Javier Rios. Thank you for coming through. And Reaper Cobra as well. So thank you very much. I will say this, and then I'm going to kick it to Rod. I said this on one of your live Instagram lives, Raj. I said the Niners have to survive the initial blow, like with the crowd, the beginning of the game with all the hype. It's just going to be everything's pro Eagles. It's a person who isn't prepared or is scared of such things, it could take them right out of the game before it starts. So the Niners need to survive that initial like rush, where the fans are in the kickoff return and the fans go wild. The first down and the fans, just everything that's going to be so hyped and amped and elevated. So the Niners can survive that initial thing and come out with a rather close score early. I think it bodes well for them later in the game. Amin, how you feeling about Sunday, man?
Obviously, win or go home situation. You're one game away from potentially making it to another Super Bowl. So obviously a little bit nervous, right? Not only as, obviously the players might be a little bit nervous, but as a fan watching this team, seeing what happened last year, seeing what happened in the Super Bowl, a little bit nervous, right? Obviously going up against the number 1 seed. But here's a couple of things that, the media, I feel like have been looking at, and have been really doubting the 49ers. You look at obviously Brock Purdy, first NFC Championship game. And Raj mentioned a great point. So is Jalen Hurts' first NFC Championship game. Now, the difference between the quarterbacks is, yes, one's been in the league longer. But on the other hand, the Niners have made it to the NFC Championship game almost 10 times in the last, I forgot the exact number, but they made it last year also with pretty much the same core, same team, same key guys. So they've been here before. So the Niners have the experience over the Eagles. And everybody's talking about, this whole week, all I've been hearing is, Jalen Hurts is head and shoulders above Brock Purdy. Yes, that's true. Jalen Hurts is an MVP caliber player, and he's been playing like an MVP player this year. But at the same time, Brock Purdy doesn't have to be an MVP caliber player for the Niners to win on Sunday. All Brock Purdy has to do is to get the ball to his playmakers and play turnover-free football. And that's been the Niners' recipe and key to success in this win streak. You really look at this win streak, in the past 12 games, the Niners have had less than one turnover. Less than one turnover in the last 12 games, right? So the key in this game is that obviously, yes, don't get overwhelmed. Philadelphia fans are crazy, but just don't turn over the football. Brock Purdy, do what you've been doing this whole entire season. And the defense is great. The defense is number 1 ranked defense for a reason. So you have, a top offense in the league going up against the number 1 defense. And you look at going back to last year. Last year, Jimmy Garoppolo did not have a good game in the NFC Championship game. He did not whatsoever. In this game, you don't have Jimmy Garoppolo. You have Brock Purdy, who's shown you most part the capability that he gets the ball to his receivers, is accurate, makes smart decisions, and doesn't turn over the football. And on top of compared to last year, you have better depth. You have Christian McCaffrey on your team this year. So, yes, as much as, Jalen Hurts might be head and shoulders above, Brock Purdy doesn't have to play like Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady in order to win this game. He just has to do enough. And when you have such a great defense like the Niners do, I think this definitely, helps, a young quarterback in Brock Purdy out. And the Niners want revenge. They're hungry. Deebo Samuel, you saw it last year, him crying, after losing the NFC Championship game. I think enough is enough, and I think the Niners are going to come out and hopefully they'll get the victory and they'll come out with a statement and they'll come out with a bang. Niners, obviously, they didn't make it last year, They didn't make it to the Super Bowl last year, so I think that they want it, and they've been doubted this whole entire week by multiple media members, you know, even former players. So I think they're hungry and they're ready to prove everybody wrong.
How about you, Beto? You're the eternal optimist for the most part.
Well, this is the way I feel, bro. We're playing with house money.
True.
We're not supposed to be here.
Nope.
Let's keep it 100. We're starting our third string quarterback. We're not supposed to be here. Trey Lance was the quarterback that we wanted to be here with, that thought that we would get here with. Then we had Jimmy, and then both of them went down. And I don't know about you guys, but at that point when Jimmy went down, I'm like, well, it was a great run. We didn't get a chance to see what Trey was able to do. Now we lost Jimmy.
Yep.
It's all about looking forward for next year. And here comes Brock and starts winning game after game after game. Defense, number one defense, doing its thing. So, of course, as a Niner fan, do I want to see my team advance to the Super Bowl? Because the storyline, imagine the storyline during the social media week of the Super Bowl about Brock Purdy. It's going to be just blowing up. So, of course, I want to see that. Of course, I want that hype. Of course, I want part of that. The experience and seeing him in the Super Bowl and making a movie after him if he wins the Super Bowl, all that. But the reality is we're playing with house money. And people can be different. For me, I think the Niners found their quarterback of the future, in my opinion. I love Trey. I want Trey to succeed, whether it's here or somewhere else. But I think we found our quarterback. So whether we win on Sunday or not, I am very pleased what we figure out to having this young kid, and then having a whole offseason with him, with the number ones, planning around him, building around him getting bigger, more muscle tone in a year or two. Imagine the possibilities with this kid. So we found a diamond in the rough. In a year where we lost our investment in Trey Lance, in a year where we got stuck for another year with Jimmy, in a year that we lost Jimmy as well, right? When we weren't looking, we found that diamond in the rough in Brock Purdy. So am I excited about Sunday? Yes. Am I nervous? No. And I'm being honest, because it's house money. And the Niners, I hope the Niners, and I think the Niners, and I'm glad that the Eagles are favorite. I'm glad that the Eagles are being talked about in social media about how they're going to beat us, because that really takes off the pressure off the Niners. And if anything, it pisses the Niners off to go in there and, like Roger said earlier, to let the whole world know you counted us out, the number one defense. And people don't realize, you play football, you play any sports, people say, the pressure's nothing. The pressure's a lot, and the pressure right now is on the Eagles. They are expected to make the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So they got to get there. We are not expected. So, we're coming underneath the radar. And before you know it, that game's close in the fourth quarter. A nice play by Brock, a nice field goal by Gold, and we're heading to the Super Bowl, and we're looking on to the next chapter. So am I nervous? No. Am I looking forward to this and excited? Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think with me, when I say I'm nervous, I think it's just a matter of, how long do these windows stay open, and how long can you retain as much talent as we have? There's part of me that says if we don't win Sunday, we still have enough time and chances to do it maybe in the next couple of years.
Do you know how much, I'm sorry, not to interrupt you. Do you know how much Brock cost against the salary cap?
Not very much.
1%. 1% against the salary cap.
Right. So they can build around it if they want to.
And we can even bring another pass rusher. So I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Oh, no problem. Real quick, Raphael 562. Thank you for the $5 super. He says CMC to Debo TD or Debo to CMC TD. Which one is more likely to happen?
Oh, both.
Yeah, right. 50-50 on both. I would say CMC to Debo, because I think CMC has the better arm and grip. I think Debo
those beautiful spirals, accurate.
He played quarterback before. His brother's a quarterback, I think, and Debo would want to catch a touchdown. Debo wants to catch that touchdown. I think we're gonna see something like that. I've been all playoffs. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, it's gonna be a double reverse like pass. This is the game I think is gonna finally. I've been waiting for this play. I think it's gonna happen. But going back to what Beto said about the Eagles having the pressure, 100%. They're the number 1 seed. All the pressure's on them. Hostile environment. The media is gassing them up. Every analyst, not every, but I'd say about 75 to 80% of the people are picking the Eagles. That's a lot of pressure on them. And again, Sirianni has never been here. Jalen Hurts has never been here. And it's not taking anything away from him, but there's a lot of pressure on him. The Niners are loose. Look, Brock Purdy wasn't even supposed to be, right? Number 262 pick, Mr. Relevant. He wasn't even supposed to be third string quarterback on this team. Nate Sudfeld was the guy. We sat here training camp. Well, they paid Nate Sudfeld $2 million guaranteed. They're not going to have it. Guess who's our fucking quarterback? Sorry, my language. It's Brock Purdy. It took a lot to get him here because of the injuries, but it's fate, man. I believe in fate, and it's kind of a weird situation that we've bumped into. And I got Brock Purdy, man. House money. I'm from Vegas, and I believe when you play with house money, you got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And again, the Niners, man, I just feel like they're ready for this moment, man. And I don't think they're like CMC when they asked him this week, is there any chance for you to lose? He looked at the reporter and he was like, 0 chance. And the way he looked at it was like, are you kidding me? I'm not gonna miss this game. They could have amputated his arm and he's gonna play this game on Sunday. Like, he's not missing this game. That's how these guys are for this game. And this team is more healthy this year than they were in last year's NFC Championship. If you remember, Trent Williams had the ankle sprain. McGlinchey was out for the season at that point. There was a lot of people that were hurt. Debo was coming off that divisional round against the Packers where he was limping on the field. So his team was banged up. This year they're healthy, and it's a dangerous thing when this team's healthy.
And one more thing is we're forgetting about the addition of Charvarius Ward, right? You look at Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, right? That's a scary, matchup for any DB. But last year, we were talking about sitting here last year, cornerbacks, we had a bunch of injuries at the cornerback position. Jason Verrett was out, and we were, stuck on Josh Norman. And I remember we brought in Kirk Fitzpatrick, and oh my goodness, last year was horrible, right? Seeing some of the corners in the field, and they would get trucked, they would get beat, they would get called for pass interference. Now with the addition of Charvarius Ward also, I mean, you have one guy on defense that's going to be huge in this game. And then also with the addition of Christian McCaffrey, whereas last year we just, how can we limit Deebo Samuel? And that kind of, limits the whole Niners offense. Whereas this year, no, the Niners, have a quarterback that has the ability to throw the football. You have Christian McCaffrey, who you can line up in the slot, line up on the outside. You have Deebo Samuel, who's also another weapon on top of that. So, compared to last year, also, the new additions that we brought in this year and also being healthy, like Raj said, I'm more confident this year going into the NFC Championship game than I was, last year.
There is a little bit of pushback here in the comments from 49ers Raj 209. He says, we aren't playing with house money because we were expected to make the playoffs with Trey before the season started. A team like the Seahawks, who wasn't expected to make it, is someone playing with house money.
I disagree.
Yes and no on that. I look at it like this. Once Jimmy went down and Purdy came into the lineup, anything that happens with this 49er season, at least to me as Aaron, was, pro bono. It was extra because who in the hell wins with their third string quarterback like we did? And then as far as it maybe not being house money, listen, the Eagles are expected to win it. Like, they're expected to do it. All the pressure's on the Eagles. The Niners have pressure maybe within themselves as a team, within an organization as that self-made pressure because you expect to win. But no one's picking them. The Niners they're treating the Niners like a redheaded stepchild right now. The pun, I know I'm redheaded, but to me, I think the Niners are playing with a little bit of house money just for the fact that, dude, I never watch ESPN. I mostly watch NFL Network, but even that I don't. And of course, I listened to it today, and it's just Eagles. The Niners, I don't know. And I'm just like, I'm with everybody else. Like, the Niners have zero pressure on them in this game. I mean,
not everybody else. I didn't say anything yet.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I'm
Come
on the other
Wolf.
side of the coin. I'm kind of with 49ers Raj over there. Just because we got a third string quarterback, house money, I'm still going for that jackpot, homie. My aspirations and goals are still the same. My expectations are
True.
still the same. Just him showing his attributes, his abilities on the field makes my aspirations even higher than when Garoppolo was here. So I'm going all in. This is house money. We're going for that jackpot.
In a way, I agree with Wolf, right? Because obviously before the season started, we were like, we expect the Niners to be a playoff team, especially with, obviously Trey Lance was, expected to be the starting quarterback. But here's what we have to, I think, take into consideration is that yes, Purdy, third string, Mr. Irrelevant. Nobody knew what Purdy was going to be. We heard some good things in camp, but we didn't know, all right, is Purdy. And some of the stuff that we saw in preseason, like we saw some, nice throws, and then you would see like Purdy throwing an interception directly to a linebacker, making rookie mistakes, right? Being inaccurate at times. You saw that missed handoff early on in the year, right? Like, so you saw the inexperiences of Purdy. But at the same time, we know how good this Niners team is. And going back to my point early on in the show, is that when you look at when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, the difference when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt is other guys around Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt also in the seasons when Jimmy Garoppolo went down. So you look at Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. Let's break it down year by year. 2018 tears the ACL. Our best pass rusher was Cassius Marsh.
Ugh.
No Nick Bosa. Fred Warner wasn't, the Fred All-Pro Fred Warner. I don't even remember our corners on the team, our safeties. Like, I mean, obviously we had Jimmy Ward and Tart, but like they were battling injuries that year. And our offense, we had Aldrick Robertson as a receiver.
Yeah,
we had
buddy.
Pierre Garcon. Like, we had all these guys that you look back now and you're like, they used to be on the Niners, right?
Yeah.
So like 2018, you were depleted, and you had two quarterbacks that have never played in the NFL before, and CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins taking over with a team that was already banged up and that was going through a rebuilding process. 2020. We obviously coming off the Super Bowl year, but you look at what happened that year. Nick Bosa got hurt. And Nick Bosa, I mean, we obviously know how important he is. The main guy on defense that year was Fred Warner. Fred Warner had his whole Pro Bowl season, got his bag that year because he literally made like every tackle. Like pretty much every play, he would be making a play. You would see him on the screen. And those two quarterbacks with that bad of a situation, obviously they struggle. But you look at this year, Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. And so did Trey Lance. But at the same time, you still had Nick Bosa who was healthy. You still had Fred Warner. You still had Dre Greenlaw. You still had Aziz Ashaiir. You still had Travarius Ward. You still had Talanoa Hufanga, Jimmy Ward. You still had all those offensive weapons. You added Christian McCaffrey late in the season. So you still had all this talent. And just how we were saying early on in the season that Jimmy, just be a good game manager. Continue what you were doing game by game. That's all Brock Purdy had to do, was come into the game and be a good game manager. That's all he had to do. And he's shown you the ability in those games that he started, in the games that he's played, that he can do that. So, compared to like, let's look at Tampa Bay, for example, who Tom Brady throws the ball 66 times a game in order for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to even have a chance at winning the game. Whereas you look at the Niners where, no, he doesn't have to be, Tom Brady or Mahomes. He just has to be a good game manager and get the ball to his playmakers. And that's what he's been able to do. You still have the defense. You still have Nick Bosa. You still have all talented linebackers, best linebacker core in the league. So, as, the national media might be thinking, if we lose, nobody really expected us to be here with Brock Purdy. But what you've seen from Brock Purdy so far, as Niners fans, I feel more confident in Brock Purdy going into this game than I did Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
So, like, it's kind of, unfair to be like, okay, the expectations, obviously the media didn't expect us to be here, but now that we are here, and Brock Purdy has better playoff stats in his first playoff game than Jimmy Garoppolo did in his entire time, with the 49ers and in his entire time, playing in the playoffs, there are some expectations. As a Niners fan, if we go home, obviously it'll hurt, but, I expected this team to be here based off what we've seen from this offense so far, based off what we've seen Purdy do and how he's been able to carry this offense and how this defense has been playing. Now, they've been struggling later on in the year, but I have expectations for this team, and I want, like Wolf said, I want to make it, to the Super Bowl. As much as the national media said we don't deserve to be here, and, if we lose, it doesn't matter. I think it does matter if we lose, and I think, this is a game that the Niners definitely have a good shot of winning.
Brock, I just want to let you know, also guys know that Brock Purdy is not just a game manager. He intended to be one when he first came in because we hadn't unbarreled, not knowing what he can do. against Dallas Cowboys, there was 3 key plays that had to be made in order for us to advance in that game. And one of those was that throw to Kittle where he hit his helmet and caught it. Jimmy G doesn't make that throw. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Jimmy G doesn't make that throw. Under that pressure, Jimmy
would have been
folds.
sacked 10 times in that game at least.
A game manager will
He was on the
fold
happy feet.
under pressure. A kid that is not just a game manager, but has a skill set, about an aura about him, a quality. Listen, a lot of you guys are younger than me. I remember when Joe Montana got drafted from Notre Dame in the 3rd round. I remember when Bill Walsh started coaching Joe Montana. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy is Joe Montana before anybody gets crazy, okay? But a lot of the similarities that I see in Brock, the coolness, the level-headed, the great decision-making, the way he processes the field, all these intangibles I saw early on from Joe Montana. And yes, Joe Montana is a Hall of Famer, a 4-time champion, Super Bowl champion, and the GOAT. But prior to him becoming who he was, he had a start where I saw him start and nobody knew who he was then. And he developed to and became that player that he is today. Brock Purdy, we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what his career is going to be when it's all said and done. But name me another rookie. I don't care what round you were drafted in, quarterback, that has played this good and has this tangibles as this rookie. I mean, he came in week 13, and now he led his team to the NFC Championship team.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott has been with the Cowboys for 7 years.
Right.
He can't do that. There's other teams that can't do that. There's other quarterbacks that might have a better arm, that might have more talent, but can't. Yeah, like New Orleans can't get their team to the NFC Championship. Brock Purdy comes in week 13 and gets his team there. And yes, at first game manager, but now that listen, Kyle Shanahan trusts Brock Purdy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. A game manager does not get trusted that much the way that Kyle does on Brock. So am I confident? Yes. Is it going to be a hostile environment against the Eagles that allows them? Then you know what? Brock Purdy has played some big games in college. That game against Seattle, in Seattle, even though Seattle's defense was nowhere near, obviously, as the Eagles, but that crowd noise, that experience was good for him. He's not, Brock Purdy's going in with a confidence and a swagger that I can't explain. He's like, I got this. I got this. I'm not worried. I'm not concerned. He's not losing sleep. He's not worried. He don't have diarrhea. This kid is playing some good football.
Okay.
Very smart, very confident. And you want a confident quarterback. When he pounds his chest and he's yelling at the air, when have you ever seen Jimmy do that? All he does is smile like an idiot, especially when he throws an interception like, did I do that? Bull crap. Where do you hear the fire from a quarterback? You know what I mean? And this kid has it all, man. So a game manager maybe when he first came on, but now he's a game changer.
No,
I want to clarify. I never said he's a game manager.
Yes,
He's not,
no, just kidding.
no,
I'm
early
talking about
on,
in
right?
general.
Early
How
on.
dare you, Amin?
no, I
Early on.
saying
Bring controversy.
Sacrilege.
Let's
No,
challenge the play.
I'm messing with you. I mean, I know it
I
wasn't
know.
you.
Go
was
ahead,
talking
Raj,
in
sorry.
general.
No,
He's got
no,
that glorious hair going on, man. I'm so jealous.
I see what he's saying because
How could I come against you with that hair?
it's the hair. No, I know what he's saying because in the media, people are dogging. They're
Yes.
Mahomes, Burrow, and Jalen. They're MVP candidates. So everybody's these guys are elite. So if you look at it, you're like, oh, Brock just has to go out there and act like we said right in the beginning of the season. Oh, as long when Trey went down, we were like, crap, Jimmy's here, and he played good, like Amin said, and we were like, oh, as long as he is this game manager, that's fine. And so I think everybody got into that mentality of if Brock just hands the ball off, gets the ball to the playmakers, because in the playoffs in the past, what did Kyle do? He ran the ball. I think there's a game where Jimmy had like 8 completions or something.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? The Minnesota game, Green Bay game, it was all running game. So I think people are ingrained in that. But Beto made a good point of Kyle trusts Brock Purdy, and he's calm. He's played in big games in college in front of 100,000 people in Texas and Oklahoma. I get it. Bigger stakes this Sunday. It's NFL, big game, NFC Championship, but he's been in big moments. And this is a quote I wanted to bring this to the table because Beto hit it on the head that Kyle trusts this guy like I've never seen him trust a quarterback ever. And there were times I think at the beginning of the season that maybe he did have to manage the game, but he had some like 300-yard games, 3 touchdowns. Like we don't see this offense. And again, CMC is a big part of that. And I think Amin made this good point that this team is phenomenal around him. But at the beginning of the season, what did we say about Trey? Oh, he's in the best position out of all the young quarterbacks. So Brock's in the same position, but he's had to make plays lately. And you're right, the play to Kittle, the play to Ayuk. There was a play to Ayuk he made. There was a what was that? The Mahomes type pass, the little like skip pass he made to CMC. It was a small play, but he made it. It was pretty impressive. Mahomes does that, media goes crazy, and then he makes this like tight window throw to Jennings. So then after the game, Kyle Shanahan says there's a lot of times the headset will cut off, and there's a number of times we don't have to use a timeout because he has a lot of those plays memorized. He's a rookie memorizing these plays already, and we talked about, how people talk about how Kyle's playbook is so complicated. It took Jimmy 6 years to memorize this, basically, right? This guy's been in the team for 7 starts. The boys memorized the plays already. They don't need to waste a timeout. How many times have you seen the 49ers burn a timeout in the past? And you're like, oh, you can see Kyle is pissed. He's livid. He's smiling in the press conferences. I think his gray hairs are turning black again. Like he's anti-aging because he's so happy with Brock that he's like, just, you could tell he's letting him do his thing. And there's times that he throws the ball that you don't see these plays made when in the past. And no disrespect, Jimmy, but Brock makes some crazy plays, and his mobility is a huge factor. So, yeah, again, I know he's benefited from being on an elite team that should be there, but Brock Purdy shouldn't even be here. He's Mr. Irrelevant, and look where he's at, man. He's at the same level as Mahomes, Burrow, and Jalen Hurts. So we can't disrespect the kid. We got to put respect on his name. But everybody, all you guys make good points. But I just think that Beto had said something that really needs to be hammered home is Kyle trusts this guy. He trusts him so much.
To me, the one thing that, I'm nervous as a fan just because I want the Niners to win a Super Bowl so bad, especially in the age of my nephew as an adult, and he was born in 95, and I've talked about this ad nauseum. He's never experienced it, and I want to experience it with him so bad. I'll say that with Purdy, I'm way more relaxed going into big games than I ever was with Jimbo, ever. And it's not, well, it is a knock on Jimbo. People say, well, you knock him. It is. And I just think some people mentally are wired different. Joe Montana always talked about things slowing down, whereas in some people's mind, under the pressure, things speed up and become cloudy and they can't think straight. Montana was the master, and I think Brady too. These guys, when the pressure's at its most, it's like the game's moving in slow motion. And the fact that me and, Beto's talked about it before, the fact that Montana in the biggest game of his life is talking about John Candy in the most pressure-packed situation, that's how mentally just stone cold some people are. And then Brock has that, at least for now, I mean, as much as we've seen him, seems to come off that way. So I'm nervous for the game because I'm a nervous guy. I know a lot of people aren't because it's like, we're not playing, right? But the one thing that makes me feel really good is the kid. So, and the Niners have a ton of weapons. It's not like we're talentless. It's not like we're bereft of talent. We're just as talented as them, which is what I wanted to ask you guys next. If you had to rate these rosters, who has the more talented roster? Anybody can go.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll go. You want to take your watch? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll follow your lead.
No worries. Who has the most talented roster? That's a good question. Both of these teams are loaded. Both of these teams are loaded on both sides of the ball. I do like the Eagles' offensive line because they really don't have a weakness on that offensive line. We got to pray. See, for us, we got to pray that Mike McClinchy doesn't lay an egg. Mike McClinchy, don't lose your ass off to Hassan Reddick, right? So we're hoping, we're finger crossed. The Eagles' offensive line is pretty good, and that defense, 70 freaking sacks, 75 total, including the playoffs. 4 players with 11 or 11 sacks. Their lowest sack guy, Brandon Graham, Fletch Cox has 7. He has more sacks than all our other pass rushers combined, and he has the least with the Eagles. So when it comes to both rosters, and now this doesn't mean that they're going to beat us or whatever, but anything can happen on any given Sunday, and the way the coaches prepare and scheme up the game will be a factor on how things go. But everything is, for me at least, is won and lost in the trenches. Bosa is definitely a beast, but they got like 2 Bosas, you know what I mean, in a sense of pressure. And then they got an offense that can keep pass rushers at bay. And Javon Kinlaw, I hate to say this, if he can't penetrate on a sorry offense, how is he going to penetrate against this offense? So if I can be honest with myself, the Eagles have a better defense and a better offense line, so therefore they have the better roster. But to me, I think the X factor for me is DeMeco Ryans and Kyle Shanahan, and how he's going to put his players in positions to win. The way he's going to draw up a game plan. It's just a matter of whether this roster can execute it the way it needs to be executed and not make no mistakes. So both teams have great rosters, but I just think that at least from the trenches part of it, which I really focus on, negative minus Bosa, they do, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think this is a tough matchup. Honestly, out of all the games this weekend, the 2 games, this is going to be the most evenly matchup between the 2, I think. And I think out of all the games this season, this might be one of the most evenly matched games throughout the entire season. I mean, you can, like you said, their O-line, it's the best O-line in the NFL. I'm not going to sit here and argue that it's not. Like, you could say it's pretty good. It's damn good. They got, Kelsey in the middle. You got Malialu, he's amazing. Lane Johnson, like, they have tremendous linemen, and it's going to be tough to penetrate them. And you're right, we're going to have to be able to get through that line, and Bosa's got his work cut out for him, because they don't allow sacks. Bottom line, they keep Jalen Hurts pretty, they keep his jersey clean, and that's why he's doing so good. If you protect your quarterback and he's talented, he's going to do whatever he can do, and that is definitely going to be key. It's a battle of the trenches. You could sit here and say, the Niners have talented receivers. They got so many players. We got an amazing tight end. They have a pretty good tight end. They have a good running back. We have a great running back. It's pretty evenly throughout the field. We probably have the best line. We have the best linebackers, better than theirs, but they're not horrible linebackers. We have great safeties. They have good safeties. They have good corners. We have good corners. It's coming down to the trenches, and I think the X factor is coaches. So I don't really care who's the better team, because both of these teams are pretty even. They're both the number 1 and 2 team in the NFC. They're in the championship game, so that tells you everything you need to know. To me, it comes down to coaching, and that is the question that we need to ask: is who has the better coaching? Is it Sirianni and Gannon and his guys, or is it Shanahan and DeMeco? And that's what we're going to find out. If DeMeco Ryans is truly a head coach material, he will make the adjustments and stop the Eagles this weekend, and he'll be able to stifle them. And if he truly is a head coach, DeMeco Ryans is going to take over this game in the second half. And Kyle, because he's a schemer. He's going to be in the middle of the game scheming. Okay, they're doing this. I got to change. Because Sirianni's a good coach in terms of he has a game plan and he's going to execute it. But Kyle has to make sure his scheme is going to fit whatever Sirianni's throwing at him. And that, to me, is what this game's going to come down to, coaching, because these 2 teams are about as even as you can get.
Real quickly, off topic here, Pan McQueen mentioned something about George Odom being in a car accident, but he wasn't injured. I did not know about that when the stream started. I don't know if this is something that was recently dropped on Twitter, so definitely prayers up for him. That sucks. Yikes.
He posted yesterday on his Instagram story.
Okay.
He posted a picture of his car jacked up, and then he said he's okay though. Love all the responses that he says that thanks for everybody reaching out. I DM'd him last night. He's like, yeah, I'm good, man. Don't worry. Thanks for reaching out. But
Look
yeah,
at you, Rob. That's awesome.
Yeah. He is in he did have a car accident, but he's good. So
I personally think my biggest concern roster-wise is going to be our corners against their wide receivers, because I think their wide receivers are insanely talented. AJ Brown, to me, is, I personally think, coming out of that draft with all those receivers, he might be the best one. Just all around big, fast, strong, you name it. And our corners have been inconsistent. They've given up the long ball in pretty recent games, like on a consistent basis, at least one a game. But I think part of that has to do with the Niners pass rush. And that's the one thing roster-wise. That's another thing I think that they have a better on their roster. Like he said, Beto said 70 sacks, multiple guys with over 10 sacks. If the Niners fall to this team, I am going to bang the drum so hard for them to go freaking hard on defensive line in either free agency or the draft this year, because they need more than just Nick Bosa. They don't have that dude like D Ford or, there's just, they don't have that other guy. Everyone's like, well, Drake Jackson, but he really hasn't been. He started strong in the year. He's had his batted balls, and that's all great and fine. But someone that pushes the pocket, because if you remember in 2019, like, man, that edge would get bent so hard, and then you had the guys in the middle, and then you had Bosa. I mean, every time a guy dropped back, it was kind of like how Dallas's defensive was in the divisional round. That's how the Niners in 2019, when they were at their best, reminded me of, where they were always in the backfield. So the Niners defensive line and secondary kind of in combo are the two things that concern me the most in this game, that need to really play as well as they've played all season. And if they do, then things can be attainable and we can, reach our goal. But those guys, those particular position groups are going to have to play their best.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Niners definitely they got their work cut out from them. The D-line is good, but that Eagles D-line, like Beto said, 70 sacks. I mean, you don't just make up 70 sacks. I know a lot of them happen in a short amount of time, but still 70 sacks. They were up on teams, and they were able to bring that pressure. But you're right. Like, we have good D-linemen. Like, we know our players, Omenahu and Ebukam and all those guys, Armstead. But, I mean, they got Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. They got Hargrave, Sweat. Like, those guys, Hassan Reddick, they're all, like, first-round pick. I think George Kittle said it yesterday. He goes, they're all first-round picks. All of them, every single one. When we were in 2019, we had all first-round picks on the D-line. So Drake is good, but he's still young. He's still very raw. He's still developing, and he's a little ways from his full development. And it is going to be a tough battle. But I definitely like the fact that the Niners played the Cowboys last week. I think that was a good preparation, because that was the best defense this team has played all year. And I think that's a good test. They got pressure on Purdy all day. They were closing in fast. I think it was good preparation for Philly, because they're going to be bringing pressure all day. But the key is to be able to run the ball and make them tired and keep Jalen off the field. So if we can run the ball and put ourselves in good position, it doesn't really matter.
Wolf or Amin, you guys have anything to add?
No, man. Well, I think overall, both rosters, of course, they even out for the most part, because, their strengths and weaknesses. Of course, it's going to come down to the Jimmies and the Joes, man. And I feel like the 49ers just have way more X factors, especially offensively, whereas their wide receivers can really threaten our defense, but all our guys can do what their wide receivers do, but they can smash right through you as well. And you can just pitch the ball to them. You could do all these things with them, man. So I'm really curious how it's going to pan out. I think it's really going to come down to coaching, man, and scheming up, getting your guys in the right place at the right time. And I'm curious to see which coach, if either of them crumbles, man, and which one crumbles first.
Yeah, definitely. My one of my things to watch is Shanahan. Does Shanahan melt down, or is this going to be the game where he's going to stick to something and be aggressive and go with it and stay with it and not be intimidated by what is happening on the field so many times? And maybe this is a reflection of Garoppolo. I hate to keep bagging on him, but it's all relative. I think a lot of it had to do with Jimmy and just his lack of trust where he has with Purdy. But yeah, this is a pressure on Shanahan. I mean, people say that Shanahan is kind of like the second coming of Andy Reid. He's getting close, but he hasn't quite sealed the deal. So the Niners have enough talent to win a Super Bowl this year. There's no question in my mind. They're very equipped. Like, they got everything you need. Maybe not every position group is all elite. Maybe their corners are a little sus. And maybe their defensive line isn't as deep in recent years. But I mean, like, offensively, the Niners have at least 4 options offensively to go to in the pass game at any time. And most of them are interchangeable in the offense that we run. They can run them from the backfield. You can run them in the slot. At wide receiver, doesn't matter. So it's all going to be, like you said, coaching. And to me, something we touched on earlier, turnovers, man. Turnovers can wreck any good team season. If the Eagles get sloppy with the ball and the Niners are able to capitalize on a couple turnovers and get some tutties out of it, Eagles might be the better team, but the Niners might just have a way to capitalize. So to me, that's the biggest. I think turnovers are so huge in these games, especially when you got two teams that are so evenly matched.
Yeah, man. I really want to see the Eagles tested against another really good team, for one. Then I'll believe it. As of right now, I don't believe it. I'm not going to say they're pretenders, but they got to show me.
Something I want to touch on here that is one of the biggest things in this game that the Niners have to figure out a way, and it's something they haven't figured out in a long time. They must play the RPO with aggression, and they got to get after the quarterback, and they cannot allow Jalen Hurts to extend plays, because I don't care how good your damn secondary is. If guys are running open for 7-8 seconds, you're gonna, and you have guys like they do, it's a wrap. The Niners got to find a way to get to the quarterback and get him down on the ground, hit him. If he's got a bad shoulder, I'm not saying injure him, but this is contact football, man. Freaking stick his dick in the dirt, hit him. I don't know. What do you guys think? Anybody can go.
I think Amin had something to say.
Go ahead, Amin. I pissed him off.
I don't know if he popped. I don't know if he's gonna pop back in, man. But go ahead, Amin.
I just had to plug in my charger. My laptop was about to die on me. No, I mean, going back to what you said earlier about, Kyle Shanahan. First off, Kyle, if we lose this game, that's fine. Obviously it'll hurt, but please do not let this be like 2019 Super Bowl. Please do not let this be like last year, because that hurts, right? Losing a game in its own hurts, but when you're up 10 or you have the lead 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, and then you blow it, and then you go back and you're like watching the game the day after, and you're crying with like a bowl of ice cream, with a pint of ice cream in your hand, like, and you were like, we were 10 minutes away. Like, you couldn't have kept the lead for 10 minutes. Like, I mean, that hurts. Okay, it hurts. So please just don't let that happen again. But one question will be answered on Sunday, regardless of a win or a loss, is it Jimmy Garoppolo or is it Kyle Shanahan? Because everybody has been saying, if you look at, the last couple of years and you look at all, the NFC Championship loss, the Super Bowl, there's been this ongoing debate about, no, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. It's the fact that we have Jimmy Garoppolo. That's why, the Niners are limited as a team, and that's why we've blown some of these leads, because Kyle is limited in what he can do. Or is it Kyle Shanahan? I'm going to throw out a hypothetical situation. Hypothetically, if Brock Purdy has a good game, clean stat sheet, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and the Niners end up losing this game, and let's say they're up in this game and they end up losing this game, then I think it's fair to say, it might be on Kyle, but that's a different hype. But that we'll find out, obviously on Sunday. But that's a question that we'll get the answer to on, in my opinion, on Sunday. Is that was it really Jimmy Garoppolo? Because even going back to his Atlanta days, I don't blame Kyle Shanahan fully for that loss. I think the defense choked. Matt Ryan obviously was horrible in that game in the second half, so I don't blame Kyle fully for that. But now with Jimmy Garoppolo, that's been this whole ongoing debate about is it Jimmy or is it Kyle? So now with Brock Purdy and what you've been able to see with Brock Purdy, now unless Brock Purdy has a game where he, completely throws it away and has 3 interceptions and is just horrible, which I hope doesn't happen, then you can't blame Kyle Shanahan. But if you end up losing this game and you're up and is it Shanahan or is it Jimmy Garoppolo? That's the question that'll be answered on Sunday. And going back to the question that you asked earlier, I think was who is the better team? Man, the Eagles, that's the thing about the Eagles. There's no other team in the playoffs that scared me or that made me at least a little bit nervous than the Eagles.
Yep.
And the reason why it's the Eagles is because, Dak Prescott didn't really scare me. Even though the Cowboys defense was great, Dak Prescott really didn't scare me. Kirk Cousins really didn't scare me if we were going to play them. Daniel Jones doesn't scare me. A lot of the teams that we played, Geno Smith doesn't scare me, right? So a lot of these teams that we've played, I'm just like, all right, like, cool. I don't really, think their quarterback is all that. They have some talented players. They have, a good team, good roster. But I don't really trust their quarterback when it comes to playoff football. Jalen Hurts obviously is, we don't know in the playoffs. But what we've seen from Jalen Hurts so far, he's been phenomenal this season. And you look at the games that the Eagles have lost, right? They dropped a couple of games. That was with Gardner Minshew, not because of Jalen Hurts. That was with Gardner Minshew. They had a shootout in Dallas. Gardner Minshew lost that game, but he played a solid game. And then you look at that New Orleans Saints game. Gardner Minshew, with everybody healthy, same exact roster, lost the game and threw like 2 interceptions, and they got beat by the Saints by double digits. So Jalen Hurts, yes, it's his first NFC Championship game. So is Brock Purdy. And here's what I will add to Jalen Hurts' point, is that Jalen Hurts played in the national championship at Alabama, and he got taken out. He got taken out for Tua Tagovailoa, but he's been in the big moment before. It's not necessarily been, in the NFL, but he's been in the big moment. And national championship game is the big moment, biggest moment in college football, right? National championship game, everybody looks forward to it. So he's been in that situation before, so Jalen Hurts has been there before. But, regarding who's the better team, man, as much as I'm a Niners fan and I love this team, it's the Eagles by a little bit. And the only reason I'm saying the Eagles is not necessarily coaching, it's just because of that offensive line. Is that I think, a lot of this Niners team, the defensive line is better. The safeties are better. The corners, I'll still say Eagles have the edge only because they're healthy right now with Bradbury and Darius Slay. But that offensive line, I mean, you mentioned it. What weakness does that offensive line have? You have Kelsey in the middle. You have, Jordan Mailata. You have, they have Andre Dillard. They have a bunch of guys in that offensive line that are just, freaking Lane Johnson. Like, they have a bunch of guys. You want to talk about, we have Trent Williams. They have Jordan Mailata, who's a beast. And they have Lane Johnson, who's like regarded as, the second best tackle, third best tackle in the league. So they have both of those guys on the outside. So, the defense has its work cut out for them. And that the Eagles offensive line coach is actually regarded as the best offensive line coach, around the league. Their offensive line coach is really, really praised around the league. And we have the best defensive line coach. At least Niners fans think we have the best defensive line coach in Chris Herrick. So it'll definitely be an interesting matchup. And like I said, Kyle, just don't blow this game. Like, if we lose,
yes, please.
If we lose, it obviously will hurt. It'll still hurt. I'll be depressed on Monday. I'll be depressed for, a couple of weeks or two. But if you blow it again and you're up 10 points, you're up 15 points or whatever, and you blow a game again and we end up losing, just please no. Like, I could accept a loss, just not like that. Not again. Like, I've been through so much as a Niners fan. You guys have probably been through way more. But I haven't witnessed a Super Bowl yet. You were mentioning your nephew. I haven't witnessed a Super Bowl yet. I've been at the finish line. I've been at the finish line. I've been near the finish line. Just never been able to cross the finish line. So hopefully this year the Niners are able to get to the finish line and actually cross the finish line by, winning number 6.
There's something out there that I wanted to ask Raj, because I've been hearing this been talked about the last couple of days on the radio. When you talk about matchups and things that the Niners could do that might throw the Eagles for a loop. And a lot of people have been saying that Jalen Hurts struggles against cover 3, that he has an issue with cover 3. And I just wanted to get your opinion on. I mean, the Niners run a lot of cover 3. Am I right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, I mean, that to me that has to do a lot with because there's more guys in coverage and the Niners rush 4. This is the game where the Niners defensive line has to come alive because, I mean, what's your take on that? Because I've heard it on KBR, I've heard it on other broadcasts that seems to be kind of it. Everybody's got kryptonite, right? So what's your take on that?
Yeah, no, 100%. And so this all stems with the RPO, like you said, like the whole topic of can the 49ers contain Jalen Hurts and his mobility, right? Like you said, the kryptonite for the 49ers is a mobile quarterback, right? Is that RPO. And that to me is the issue. And you're right. If the 49ers can drop in cover 3, which they typically do, that's going to cause an issue to Jalen because he does struggle on it because that forces him to hold the ball a little bit longer. When he makes mistakes, it's because he has the ball a little bit longer. There's more pressure in his face. The 49ers can maybe drop a spy back there. And I think that is the key to be able to get to Jalen is they're going to have to be able to spy him, maybe Hufanga, maybe Greenlaw, somebody like that. Fred Warner might have to have a legacy type game and contain him on the edges. But to me, if they can sit back and play cover 3, that's the way they're designed because you got Jimmy Ward, he's a nickel, but he still has those safety tendencies. You got Gibson, who's really good in that zone coverage, and Hufanga, his instincts, he can drop back as a safety and a linebacker kind of, and it allows him to do that. And then you got those 2 corners on the outside. They're not good. They're okay at man coverage, but you don't want to get AJ Brown on man-to-man. That's why if you get AJ Brown man-to-man, he's going to kill you 9 times out of 10. And same thing with Devonta Smith. He's so fast that if you put man-to-man on him, not a lot of corners are going to match up with him. So you want to play cover 3 so you can have that, that guy in the back that might have to be able to be that safety valve and come over the top to help you like Gibson or somebody. So it definitely pays off if they're going to be able to play cover 3. They don't want to be forced to play man against the Eagles because, again, their receivers are electric. A.J. Brown and like I said, Devonta's really good. Amin said something earlier about A.J. Last year when the Niners played the Titans, they had A.J. Brown, and I know a lot of people on Philly's Twitters talk about, oh, look at how he, tore up the Niners. They had Josh Norman and Ambry Thomas. No disrespect to Ambry Thomas, but our secondary is a lot better this year. And I definitely do think that if we can play that cover 3 and get a spy on Jalen, it's going to make his weekend a lot harder. And that is the key. If they can stop the mobility of Jalen just for a few plays and prevent him from, breaking off those big runs, all it takes is one play from Greenlaw or Hufanga or Jimmy Ward to pop him and get that ball out of his hands. If he fumbles that ball when he's running off that edge, it's going to rattle him, and it's going to make him think twice for running on the Niners. And that's what the Niners have to do. If they can strike fear on that man, he's going to be rattled. Because I think you said this too, Aaron, earlier, is the initial rush, the initial shock of the team, right? If they're going to come out, the link's going to be hyped. It's going to be, oh, my God, let's go, Eagles, fuck that Niners. It's going to be crazy in there. You have to stop their momentum. The only way to do it, hit them in the mouth, cause a turnover, and quiet the link up. To me,
yep. Take the crowd out of it.
Yeah.
The best way to take a crowd out of a game is to cause a turnover and score off of it. Even if it's only momentarily, maybe they come back and they score and they tie the game or whatever. But whoever says momentum isn't real in professional sports, you're on crack. It's so real. It's so tangible. One other thing, Beto brought it up in his comment. Here was the other side of it. Was that the Eagles' defense is susceptible to the run, especially especially up the run, and that they're also susceptible to over the middle as far as with the pass game. So it sounds like what the Niners do best, right? Run the ball and throw over the middle. Anybody can attack this one, but like the Eagles are the most qualified rosters built to win. They're pretty much aces across the board, but everybody has a weakness. Anybody want to tackle this as far as what they think the Niners can exploit? Knowing, not saying that the Eagles are freaking dirt garbage as far as stopping the run, but it's one of their weaknesses.
One of their strength is definitely the pass rush for the Eagles. Correct. They can get after the quarterback. You can use that momentum of that pass rush against them by doing a bunch of jet sweeps and little dink and dunks, screens to Debo, screens to Ray. to CMC and, get those guys behind those pass rushers. So when the pass rushers come, just dunk the ball over to Debo, to Kittle, and let the Yak boys continue to earn that title and get Yaks, that 5-yard pass, turn it into a 30 gain play. And I think if you can use that defense, and they're so aggressive on that pass rush against them. And one thing I noticed with the Cowboys, the Eagles defense is way better than the Cowboys, but what the Cowboys have is speed on their defense. They have speed. The Eagles don't have that much speed. When Brock Purdy was making his progressions, looking at his players and decided who he was going to throw to, before him setting his feet, Minka was there, Lawrence was there because of that speed. He's going to, Brock, in my opinion, is going to have a little bit more time to go through his progressions and make his first, second, and third read, and then plant his feet and make that throw. So that pass rush is ferocious of the Eagles, but use that against them. And then their run defense can't stop nobody. You got to get the ball to your playmakers and to the Debo. Give it to Debo. Let Debo do his thing. Give it to, when Debo was hurt, Ray did a jet sweep. Remember, to the left and ran it up. To the right and ran all the way down. Beautiful play. We need to see Ray involved. We need to see Debo, CMC, Jordan Mason. I would love to see Jordan Mason involved in this game. Whatever it takes to move the ball. You don't have to get 15, 20-yard runs. Get 5 yards, 6 yards. Wear them down, 8 yards, 3 yards. Just continue to move the ball down the ground, and by the fourth quarter, that defense will get worn out. And if you remember with Dallas, they were stopping the Niners in the first half. But what happened start the third quarter? And then going into the fourth quarter, the Niners started to run the ball because they were being effective. 3 yards, 4 yards, 6 yards. And by the end or the middle of the fourth quarter, the Cowboys were gassed, and they were able to make some big explosions off the line. So run the ball effectively. Don't give up on the run. I tell you this, if the Niners have at least 30 run plays, we can win this game. They need at least a minimum of 30. We can't get in this pissing war and try to pass the ball more than run, because that'll be a long day for Brock Purdy because of that pass rush. We have to have at least 30 attempts, in my opinion, to win this game for our running back, no matter who runs. It has to be at least 30. Those are my thoughts.
Anybody else care to share?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, man, we got to get it to our playmakers any other which way we can. The run game is going to be important, but also the versatility in the run game. We can't put everything on CMC. We can't put everything on Elijah Mitchell as well. Both of those guys are day-to-day right now. They have been practicing. They're limited, but, man, they've been carrying the team for a while now, man. And you can use guys like Kittle in the screen game. You got Juice. You got Brandon Ayuk, Ray McLeod, all these guys, man, and they're all badass. When was the last time we saw an end around for or a jet sweep for Brandon Ayuk? The last time I remember was the first game of the season against the Bears, and he took it for like 15 yards, and then we just left it alone. It's just really weird, man. But schematically, this really lines up for the 49ers to play against the Eagles as weaknesses. Shout out to Larry Krueger. He brought up a stat about the Eagles pre-snap motions. If there's no pre-snap motion, they're like number one in the league defensively. But when you add pre-snap motion into the mix, which we all know Kyle Shanahan is really good at that shit, man, they're like 21st in defense. So pre-snap motions, getting the ball around to different players, and, the 49ers do that very often. So I think that's going to play out to the 49ers' strength schematically, definitely, and to the playmakers. I did want to touch on the other point about the cover three. The 49ers, of course, they play a lot of cover three, but they play a lot more cover four If anybody wants to know, it's pretty close actually. But yeah, man, it's gonna be getting Jalen Hurts to play as a true quarterback, keeping him in the pocket, of course. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody knows this. But we can't get out of our gaps, guys. We can't be rushing past the quarterback. We have to collapse the pocket like we did with Dak Prescott, pressure him to pass, step up in the pocket while it's collapsing as a true quarterback. I think that does not bode well for Jalen Hurts' game. Even if you go back to 2019, you watch the game of OU versus Iowa State, Brock Purdy versus Jalen Hurts back in college. As a sophomore, Brock Purdy looked like the better quarterback, the more poised quarterback. You know, everybody wants to talk about he led his team from 28-7 deficit. Well, the eye test as well, man, it looked very good. So I'm very curious to see who's going to look better on the field out of the two in this game. Like I said, they've improved from back in that time, 2019, but Brock Purdy looked like the better quarterback on the field on that day.
Another weakness that I guess that they have issues with is the ability to stop running backs out of the backfield, which I think is kind of Christian McCaffrey's go-to thing. And yeah, I saw both running backs. Elijah Mitchell, I don't think he ever practiced this week, or he's been listed as questionable for the game. Whereas I think they asked Christian McCaffrey if there's any chance he's missing the game, and he said no, of course. So yeah, exposing any team's weaknesses, the Niners, I think, have the ability better than anybody to do that. It's just going to come down to execution. And like I said before, turning the ball over is just not an option in a game like this. You have to be as close to perfect as possible. And that includes special teams. And I'm talking to you, Ray. You can't have another one of those, or you might as well you can't take the flight home if that was to happen.
Yeah, don't do that, Ray. You're right, Aaron. Please.
That was enough in that last game.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
That frustrates me sometimes, right? Ray fumbled last game, and something I've noticed about Ray McLeod this whole season is, yes, the punt return after, the kick return after, he has the burst and the speed to get you those big runs on special teams. But in Ray, sometimes I'm like, there's a defender right in front of your face. Fair catch it. You don't have to go and try to pick up 5 or 3 yards or 4 yards and get tackled and have the risk of getting fumbled. Like, dude, there's like 2 people in your face, 1 dude right in front of you. Fair catch it. Let your offense come on the field. You don't have to do this crazy spin move, truck an Eagles defender and try to play Tecmo Bowl and, score touchdowns. The Retro Bowl. I forgot the name of the game back, on the Nintendo. I think it was Retro or Tecmo Bowl.
It was Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo Bowl. And you don't have to play, you don't have to play Tecmo Bowl and try to break, 30 tackles and try to take it to the house. Fair catches sometimes. And like last game, that was a game changer. That was a game changer for the Cowboys. Luckily now, our defense came in clutch and made the defensive stop so that the Cowboys only put up 3. But let's say our defense wasn't as good, right? And I get it. It's a stupid hypothetical. But let's say a lot of defenses probably would have allowed a touchdown in that moment. You're at the 20-yard line and a lot of defenses probably would have allowed a touchdown at that point. Imagine that game if the Cowboys actually capitalized on that mistake and scored a touchdown. It would have been a tie ball game if the Niners went down and even scored the next possession. It would have been way closer, much closer than it actually was. So Ray McLeod, please, in this game, you don't have to, play superhero ball. You don't have to, return touchdowns every single kick. If just fair catches sometimes. Please limit the risk of you fumbling the football.
Quick question, anybody in the chat? Yeah, any of you can answer this one. How big of a clown is Nick Sirianni? Because I saw that video of him last week, freaking just staring into the camera, bobbing his head, and I'm like, I want to win just because of that guy. I want the Niners to win just because of him. Anybody have anything to say about Sirianni? Because he comes off super douchey.
He's super cocky.
I like it.
I know. Yeah. Well, yeah, I do too. But I don't know.
Can you imagine your coach? I mean, the players feed off of it. Yeah, you look like a dork, and like you said, the camera was in his face, and he felt it. How many of us have done something stupid in the moment? We're like, "Oh shit, did we just do that?" But the camera was on there, right? Listen, I love his spunk. I love it. If I'm a player, my coach is doing that. It just loosens the teams. Like, I guess everybody has different perspective. Some people like the real serious and coaches. I don't know. I guess I'm a clown, and I like to goof around, and I'm goofy. And then me and my wife, we can be inside Target, and I'll get on a PA and start singing. My wife's like walks away. Like she doesn't know me. It doesn't matter. I don't get embarrassed. So I like what he did. I think he brings a spunk, but I can see where he can come off as arrogant in that, so he can rub people the wrong way. If he did it for being an arrogant bastard, then no. If he did it because he was having fun, then I'm okay with it.
I want to ask this question to you guys. If anybody doesn't have anything else to add on that,
Can I add one more thing real quick to that?
Go right ahead.
I don't really mind Nick Sirianni. I remember his first press conference. His first press conference was funny. And there's a quote that I'm about to pull up where he says, "Next thing that's very important to me is that we build a smart football team. That we have smart football team here. And I know we have the people in place to do that. The first part of being smart is knowing what to do. We are going to know. We are going to have the systems in place that are easier to learn." And in Nick Sirianni's first press conference, you could see like him just staring into the camera, making all these weird eye contact, just staring into the camera, hella weird, looking, really awkward. I don't mind Nick Sirianni. I think he's a cool coach. I have no issues with Nick Sirianni, but I still remember Nick Sirianni's first press conference, and I remember it like it was Dan Campbell's first press conference where he was like, "We're gonna bite kneecaps off." Like it was memorable. People were making memes of Nick Sirianni's first press conference on the internet and everything. But I don't mind Nick Sirianni. I think he's a good coach and what he's been able to do with the Eagles so far. And he has the Philly mentality. I think there's videos of him, cussing out some of the opposing team's fans and, just having the Philly mentality, yelling at refs if he's unhappy with the call. Like, he has some Philly in him. So, I actually like Nick Sirianni. I got nothing against him.
Yeah, I got to say something about Sirianni because I don't like the guy. I'm with you, Aaron. He's a D-bag. He's a douche. Listen, his little indicating him. I get it. I'm all for having fun. I'm all for
preach it, brother. Preach it.
Cocky. I'm all for all of it, but or I'm all for confidence. But he just comes off to me as a world-class D. But you know what? Amin's right. Like, he's the East Coast. Like, that's the embodiment of being out in Philly. Like, I get it. But listen to this. If the Niners beat this Eagles team, do you know that meme? That he's about to be a meme. They're gonna play that. I already got that post. I already can't wait to post this little Nick Sirianni. It's gonna be a meme fest.
Did you just lose to the 49ers? Yes.
Yeah. There it is. You just created the meme of the century. So I don't know, man. To me, when I saw that, it gave me like McVay vibes. Remember when McVay was celebrating at halftime?
He walked onto the touchdown. I think it was the last week 18. He walked in the touchdown. Niners fans hated that. He was celebrating on the touchdown in the end zone.
Yes. That's what it reminded me of. I was like, oh, God, if he plays the Niners and he does that to us, it's turning into a world-class meme, and I cannot wait. So we'll see what happens.
Question to chat. You got anything to add, Wolf?
Yeah, man. He's the enemy, so he's a douche to me no matter what.
Thank you.
I don't really give a fuck.
Thank you.
He could shake his face in the camera. He could shake his ass for all I care. I still want him to get clowned.
He could twerk. I really don't care.
He could shake his ass in the camera. I really don't care, man. He's the enemy, so I want him to get clowned no matter what. I don't care who's on the other side of that field.
Man,
you're a clown to me.
Wolf, remind me never to cross you, my friend.
Yeah, well, you don't want to mess. You don't want to mess with Wolf.
Nothing negative about you, bro, because I'll be feared for my life.
No,
I hope he's not shaking his ass on Sunday, though.
In the old days, you do something like that on camera. Someone's getting rolled into you on the sideline, or an errant pass is going to hit you upside your face. Every time I see, not Bill, the coach of the freaking Seahawks. His name always
Carroll.
Hate Pete Carroll. Why
can't
somebody roll into him? Oh my Lord. And Sirianni's right up there with it. Question for you guys. Regardless of the outcome of this game, actually, no. depending on the outcome of this game, is Brock Purdy's future, does it change depending on how the Niners do in this game? If the Niners win this game and go to the Super Bowl, are we talking Brock Purdy 2023 starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers? Or is it still going to be a competition and they're going to allow Trey to try to win the job back? Anybody can go.
Anybody want to take this first?
You can go ahead.
Go ahead, I mean.
You know, regardless of what happens in this game, I'm not going to definitively say Purdy's the future of the 49ers, because just how we thought Trey Lance is the future of the 49ers, you know, Brock Purdy could come out and get hurt. Brock Purdy could, have a season-ending injury, or, have a career-ending injury. Now, God forbid, right? God forbid. We want none of those things to happen, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want those things to happen. We want none of those things to happen. But regardless of what happens, Purdy has shown you the ability that he can execute this offense at a high level. Kyle Shanahan trusts him and his abilities and trust his decisions on the field, and he's able to execute this offense. So regardless of what he's done, and regardless of what happens in this game, I think Purdy, going into the offseason and going into training camp, you're quarterback number one. You have the edge because you've shown me the ability that you can execute this offense, and the guys like you, and you're able to win football games, and you're able to execute this offense. And if I was Shanahan, I trust you. Right, and you saw that against the Dolphins I forgot which game it was, but where Purdy saw something on the line and he called an audible. When have you seen Jimmy Garoppolo see something at the line and call an audible and it actually went well? Like, Brock Purdy did that. Brock Purdy called an audible, and you're like, all right, like, that's something new. That's like, all right, Kyle trusts you enough where he's like, all right, you make a change and the defense shows you something and you're calling an audible pre-snap. All right, Shanahan trusts you enough where he's comfortable in you doing that. So Kyle trusts Purdy. I would give him the edge going into training camp. Now, I would let this still be a competition because you invested picks in the Trey Lance. So to give up on Trey Lance, and it's not like Trey Lance sucked in his games. It's just he's been injured. He hasn't shown you the ability to stay on the field. So I would give Trey Lance the opportunity to compete for the job in training camp. And then whoever, shines in training camp and throughout, training camp, they have the edge week one. I think you let go of Jimmy Garoppolo. Regardless of what happens, I think you let go of Jimmy Garoppolo. And let's say Purdy wins the job, he's starter week one and throughout the remainder of the season. Now, let's say hypothetically he gets hurt, God forbid. You have Trey Lance as a backup to come in and see, what can Trey Lance do? Let's say Trey Lance takes this massive and huge leap, and he goes into training camp and he wows and he shines and kind of did what Purdy's been doing right now, which is just blow us all away with how good he's been playing. Let's say Trey Lance does that and takes this massive leap going into training camp and shines in training camp, and he's a starter week one. Then you let him be the starter week one until, he, God forbid, gets hurt, or if he's struggling, then you have Purdy on the bench to come in and take his spot. So I would give Purdy the edge regardless of what happens in this game, and I would give both the quarterbacks an equal opportunity to compete for the job, and we'll see what happens next season. Obviously, who's a starter, how they perform, but I would give both of these guys a chance. Purdy has shown you the ability that he can execute, but you still, I'm still not relying, but I still want to see the upside and why we drafted Trey Lance, and I still want to see that, happen. So, I would give both these guys an equal opportunity.
So it's going to be an interesting offseason, and this is one other reason I want the 49ers to win this game, because if the 49ers lose this game, no matter how great Purdy's played, this is the 49ers we're talking about. Do you know what we talk about on the offseason every single year? Quarterbacks. They're going to talk about Purdy versus Trey Lance, whether you like it or not, whether you think Purdy should be quarterback one or not. It's going to be quarterback. And if Purdy gets to the Super Bowl and they win it, they're going to be talking about is Trey Lance and Trey Destiny. Whether you like it or not, this is the rumors. I've been following this team for years. I know the rumors. I know how these hot takes. It's smoke season. Whether the rumors or not, they're going to be reports saying Trey Lance wants to trade. They're already doing Mike Silver, Kyle. They're already planning to see, because they want the engagement. They want the whole offseason because that's what they live for. They're writing these juicy articles. They want you to click on their link. It's going to be a narrative of Trey versus Brock Purdy all offseason. If they win the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy's your quarterback, but they're not going to tell you that. Kyle's not going to sit there and tell you that. He's going to say it's going to be a competition. Because does Kyle want to look out there and have people say, hey, you drafted Trey with the number 3 pick, and he's not going to be get a chance to be the quarterback one. It's going to be a crazy offseason, as it always is. They have 2 quarterbacks on rookie contracts, so it behooves them to keep them both, because you don't want to. You got to sign Bosa. You got to get the extension on Ayuk and a lot of other players. Jimmy's out of here. He's free agent. They're not going to retain him. They're not going to give him the money because they have a lot of free agents to sign and a lot of players to extend. But this is going to be another doozy of an offseason. No matter what happens, Super Bowl or not, get ready, guys. Buckle up, because this is going to be a fun offseason in terms of the rumors and stuff. And I do not want to lose this weekend, because if they do,
I know.
The next day, it's going to be who's going to be. I already see the headline. Everybody, you're going to see all the posts. Who will be the 49ers quarterback in the 2023 season? Brock Purdy or Trey Lance? It's going to be crazy. And I feel bad for both these guys, because I don't want to see them go through the. Already Trey's getting dragged through the mud. The guy's just trying to rehab. So I've been trying to stay away from this topic, because I want to focus on this.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring it up.
No. It's good. I'm just telling you guys, be prepared, because this is about to be one hell of a offseason. Whether they win a Super Bowl or not, you're going to hear rumor after rumor. And again, if the 49ers win a Super Bowl, the big rumor is going to be they're going to trade Trey Lance. And he may want to ask for a trade. I wouldn't blame him.
You're already hearing the rumors. There's reports coming. I think it was Peter King, or not Peter King, Mike Silver. Mike Silver was, right?
They just want that engagement right now. I bet you there's nothing behind it.
Yeah, Mike Silver, they're leaning towards Purdy. I know people in the organization, they like Purdy. Trey Lance is a goner by next year. And let's say Purdy, turns out to be the Niners quarterback next season and is the franchise guy instead of Trey Lance. I would say, you know what, Trey Lance didn't work out with the Niners, and, he might have probably been a bust for the Niners. But let's say Trey Lance gets traded next offseason and he shines with another team. Let's say he goes somewhere else and he balls out. Then you can't say Trey Lance is a bust. It just said, he didn't work out for the Niners. They had Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy came in and stepped up. So, yes, you could technically speaking, and a lot of people, if they do end up trading Trey Lance, would probably say Trey Lance is a bust. No, you can't necessarily say Trey Lance is a bust, even if Purdy's the quarterback next year and they trade Trey Lance away, because you haven't seen Trey Lance play in the NFL. He's only played 2 or 3 games. So, yes, he might be a bust for the Niners, but he could go to another team, and if he gets the opportunities, could go out and ball out and be what Niners fans wanted him to be. So, we'll see what happens next season. It definitely be a crazy offseason. Obviously, I hope the offseason goes where we win number 6, and then those talks start happening after number 6. But, if it doesn't end up, Raj is like, he's nodding his head a little bit. He's doing the Nick Sirianni right now when I said winning number 6. But we'll see what happens. It'll be a fun offseason, and I'm looking forward to this game on Sunday.
Man, the Nick Bosa deal itself is going to be an interesting one, because those Bosas, they like to get their money. How long is that contract negotiation going to spill into? That's another thing we got to worry about. No one's talking about that. Like Debo and his deal, man, Nick Bosa, his ass will sit out. I totally believe that. That's a whole other thing. I want to ask Raj this real quick. Do you think the Niners need to go after get another pass rusher in the offseason?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with what you said earlier. I think their D-line is great as it is. I loved Chris Kasurik, but they need more. And I think Drake Jackson is going to be good. I think he's going to be a very solid player. But again, he's still raw, developing.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be able. I don't know if they're going to be able to sign Omenahu or Ebicam, because they're going to lose one of those guys. They're probably going to take the cheap route and take whoever's the cheaper guy. They're going to lose one of them. So you got to replace that guy. But I need them to go and get like a fucking Ferrari pass rusher. No disrespect to anybody on this team.
Yes.
You got Bosa. But he does so much work, man. He's in there puffing and puffing, getting held. Now, if you had another, like, I'm not going to say Bosa, like another Bosa guy, but like a guy maybe a tier below, like a Josh Allen on the Jaguars, like somebody explosive off the edge like him, this defense would be even scary. Like the Eagles, we got to be realistic. They do have 70 sacks because they have elite rushers, man, like 2 elite bookends. And that's what I think.
That's the one thing I'm looking at them as a team, and I'm like, I'm envious of that.
Mm-hmm.
I love my team, and I love the Niners, and I will always ride and die with the Niners. But you can look at another squad and be like, damn, I wish we had that player or those players.
Yeah.
The Niners are Bosa and bust right now on the D-line. I hate to say it.
Yes.
It's Bosa and a bunch of just dudes.
Just
I think
feel
I
that.
heard you say, Raj, in your Instagram, it's like Bosa. It may have been somebody else. It's like Bosa, and then there's just a bunch of guys that are kind of just, they're pretty good. They're interchangeable, but none of them really, they don't move the needle like Bosa does.
They don't wow you. Can you
Yeah, they
imagine
don't-
if we would, and we almost drafted him, goddamn Raiders. If we would have Crosby and Bosa on this defense
Or Parsons.
or Parsons, oh my goodness. But yes, to Roger, what Roger said, we definitely need to get another pass rusher. It is just too much work for Bosa. Bosa's great. He's a beast. But imagine, look what Bosa's doing now.
Right.
Imagine if you had someone that would take some of that pressure off, how much more Bosa would do. We need that, man. Seriously, whether it's free agency or draft, at this point, it probably would have to be free agency. But hopefully they bring somebody in they can complement Bosa because we do need it, man.
I'm gonna head out on this point real quick.
Yep.
Is that I gotta go obviously to the chat, everybody. I gotta dip, but you know, this is one hypothetical that I've thought about for the past couple of years. Is the Niners in 2017? We know they didn't draft Mahomes, but who did they draft? Solomon Thomas. There was another edge rusher that went in the first round, whose last name is Watt, T.J. Watt, who went way later in the first round, was the 27th pick, right? But if you were going that route, which was a pass rusher, and let's say you drafted T.J. Watt, you know, J.J. Watt's younger brother, instead of Solomon Thomas, which, you know, Solomon Thomas was the better prospect coming out of college. He was, you know, higher ranked by the scouts. A lot of people liked him.
I think he was higher ranked by John Lynch. I don't think the
Yeah.
scouts are.
John Lynch, Stanford guy. He was a Stanford guy, right? So obviously he was higher, you know, ranked by John Lynch. But let's say you had TJ Watt next to Nick Bosa. Imagine that hypothetical. Even if you didn't get Patrick Mahomes, imagine this team currently right now, or that 2019 team with Nick Bosa. Imagine that 2019 team with Nick Bosa and TJ Watt. Nick Bosa, DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, and TJ Watt. That's all I gotta say.
Hassan Reddick could have been drafted by the Niners in that draft, and we took Solomon Thomas. I mean, so I hear you, bro. Oh, that hurts. That hurts so much that we wasted that pick on and this is not hating on Solomon, but oh my goodness, taking him, you know, imagine having that extra help. But yeah, we need a pass rusher bad.
Yeah,
All right,
I watched that. All right, buddy.
Later.
All right, I mean, always
Later,
a pleasure,
everybody.
young
My
man.
boy.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Yeah. No.
Asking you guys about DeMeco Ryans. Latest
Texans,
news
baby,
is that he
Texans.
is the head man for the Texans job. I'm not liking that, mainly because y'all already know I'm not going to turn this into a left or right political chat here, but we already know where I'm going with this one.
See?
What's your take, Raj? Or actually, you know, let me ask Wolf, because Wolf's been really quiet and he's been waiting. Wolf, if you were a selfish man, would you want DeMeco to stay this year and wait another year for an opportunity?
Well, I'm still on like topic number 4.
What was that?
I've
Which
been
one?
sitting here quietly, but
Go ahead.
No, I think I already forgot that. But
I'm sorry.
no, you're good. Yeah, man, DeMeco Ryans, he interviewed for it, and the organizations are coming out and saying he's the top candidate. So I don't think there's much to say about it. Let's just start lining up the next guy, man, and I think that's about it. It's
Niners need
unfortunate for
to
us.
they need to get after Fangio before he signs somewhere else, then, because that's the only dude I want on the defense coordinator.
And I'm just so tired
on the defense waiting.
I'm so tired of the rotation in the NFL and us being poached every
year.
Fucking year.
We
man.
have one good year and everybody wants our coaches. It's like, no.
That's a good thing, though.
It is and it's not. It's good that it means that we are looked at as a premier organization, but it's bad because it's constantly having to kind of start over and having players relearn certain individuals. And some of the best teams, like the Patriots, when their heyday, like they kept coordinators for long ass time. The Niners until maybe 92, 93, had, Holmgren and Dennis Green and all these other great coordinators that they won multiple championships with. So, geez, can we get through like a season or 4 and keep anybody? What's your take, Raj?
Yeah, no, it is frustrating. I see when the fans are like, oh, they need to have a better process of doing it. We got to wait. But you got to remember, we're in postseason, but all these other garbage teams that need coaches, they're already in the offseason. They got to sign these coaches. They got to get their teams ready. They got to start scouting. Next week's the Senior Bowl. They got to start building their plan, their blueprint from the draft. So I see why they're trying to get people, Like you said, maybe the Niners need to make a move for Fangio, but it's tough because we need to DeMeco needs to stay focused for the prize ahead, which he has been. Like last week, he canceled 2 interviews because of that, because everybody was saying, oh, he's not going to be focused. He said, all right, bet I'm canceling 2 interviews. We'll move until next week so I can focus on the Dallas game. And that defense was amazing. That's why they won the game, was DeMeco Ryans' defense's adjustment. So he's showing he's a great coach. Like, I hate losing coaches, but it is good because it shows how Kyle's able to get new coaches and they can learn new systems and stuff. But it does suck for the younger players because, like a Drake Jackson guy, he's still learning. He's raw, and now he's going to have to learn another defense maybe. So I do want to see Fangio on the Niners, but I'm looking at reports like Albert Breer and Justina Anderson are saying that Frank Wright, he just got hired from the Carolina today. He's really trying to get Fangio to be his DC. So it's tough because you want to strike while the iron's hot, but we also got things we got to do, and we want DeMeco to ride it out. So it's kind of like a rock and a hard place. It's like, okay, maybe we want him to get this job so we get Fangio, but these other teams aren't going to wait. They're like, oh, let's wait till the Niners done so they have a chance to interview Fit. No, they're going to say, let's hire him now. And then it lowers the pot of candidates. So then we have to go to, option 2, 3, and stuff. So it's tough. It does suck to lose coaches that you really think are good. And I wish they would stick around a little bit longer. But hey, that money, it's hard to turn down that good money and those opportunities. I don't think Texans are a great opportunity. If I'm DeMeco, just hear me out. I'm gonna wait till that Chargers job opens up next year because they're gonna fire that bum next year. There's no way he's. Wait.
If I'm DeMeco, I jump on that. Like,
I wait for a better opportunity. But man, when you're a coach and you've been waiting for the opportunity to keep leveling up and get a big head coach job, it is what it is. He's played at Houston. I think his wife's there, so I'm sure she's putting pressure. Hey, let's move back to Houston. Cost of living there is nice. He's going to get a big pay raise, so it's a good opportunity for him. So I get it in that aspect, but I mean, in terms of taking the best opportunity, I don't think Houston's the best. If I'm him, if I'm going to take a job this year as a defensive guy, I would want the Broncos job. That's the job I would want. So.
He has a lot of family. DeMeco still has a lot of family in Houston. Other than for what Aaron said earlier about the whole, crazy stuff in the background, I'm not looking forward for him getting there. But besides that, the Texans are actually a good fit for him, for DeMeco. For one, he has family there, ties. And that's the team that drafted him, that picked him. They have a lot of draft capital with the Deshaun Watson trade. I believe their salary cap is not that high. So they're going to have money to bring in free agents. They can move up and get a quarterback of the future. So there's a lot of good positive things there for DeMeco. They can help him out. I just wish DeMeco the best of the best. I would hate to lose him, a caliber of his talent. But hey, those two number 3s that we keep getting for minority coaches. Let's keep it coming. That's why I don't want Vic Fangio, because we lose him, we don't get nothing. I want to get minority coaches because I want to keep getting 3rd-round picks.
We need to take some of those 3rd rounders and trade up this year and go get something if there's something up there that we can make a move on. Wolf, any takes on any of the last topics here?
Just that comment you pulled up a little while ago.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some Eagle fans in here bringing that smoke, man.
What a bunch of marks, man. I saw they were talking about some stuff about Rocky disrespecting Rocky.
That was the thing that was the straw that broke the camel's back because we disrespected Rocky.
Jersey on it. That's even worse.
That's definitely a sign of endearment, if anything. So I don't know how you figure.
I don't know, man. The way I look at it is, y'all better hope you win because the receipts are going to be aplenty. and I'm not usually a receipt guy, but I will go through old YouTube live stream chats and I will freaking screenshot all of them and be like, all right, I'm going to spend a whole stream just reading them.
You should bring that comment back up.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, if you can find it.
Listen, if I'm them, I'm confident as hell. They should be. They should be.
I guarantee you that's not why they're in here. I guarantee you they've been shitting their pants all week.
Let's see.
That's
why
they're
you're right, Wolf. They're nervous. They want to act like they have it together. They're nervous.
Yeah. It says it's cute listening to Niner fans trying to convince themselves a 7th round, 3rd string quarterback will beat the number 1 seed in South Philly to head to the Super Bowl. It's adorable.
What's even cuter is he's in here lingering, like I said, because he's been shitting his pants all week, trying to get a feel for the 49ers. Now, the other funny thing is this 7th rounder, last pick of the draft, outperformed your quarterback in 2019 with the lesser team. Once the ball was put in his hands, the game was put in his hands, and the scheme was thrown out the door. Once the scheme was thrown out the door, the real quarterback on that field showed up, and he led his team to a comeback.
Yeah. And Eagle fans they're reckless this week. I feel like they're talking a lot, man. And if they lose, they're gonna have a lot of receipts pulled on them. I'm the biggest tax collector out there, so
come on, bro.
Come
on,
my boy.
Can you imagine them losing to a 7th round quarterback?
I think Kurt Krieger is saying 69-0 because he wants a 69 Jalen Hurts.
Boom. Wow. You went there.
Don't get me started, bro. Once opposing fans start shit with me, like, good luck turning me off, man.
Wolf got that dog in him. He got that dog. He got that wolf in him.
Come on, Wolf.
Listen, all I know is there's another game after the NFC Championship game, so y'all might beat us. But then there is Kansas City.
You see the line go up in the favor of Kansas City once you saw Mr. Mahomes practicing. It went from the Bengals.
I told y'all he wasn't as hurt as he said he was. It's all to make him look like a superhero. People were like, "Why does Aaron keep saying it's not that big of an injury? He's faking." Cause, man, we saw what a real high ankle sprain does. It takes you out of the game. You're finished. Done. And how is Mahomes able to stay in the game and do anything if it's supposedly such a severe high ankle sprain? I don't believe it. I believe it's played up because they do that all the time. It's the NFL loves its stories and its storylines and the Bills. Me and my brother were like, I told my brother, I said, look how pathetic and sad and disgusting that they're just bopping on this Hamlin thing and taking it from a real tragedy and trying to make it a storyline of, wouldn't it be just the ultimate story if the Bills were to win? And I'm thinking, watch the refs freaking F the freaking Bengals in this game. Sure enough, the Bengals took care of business and we didn't have to worry about that. Man, I get so sick of that. Like,
let's not also forget, Patrick Mahomes has a second career with State Farm as an actor.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. Let's go down that rabbit hole. No, just kidding.
He got that dog in him, though. But, I feel like there's part of it is I think he did get hurt, but adrenaline comes up. But the NFL loves the superhero story of Patrick Mahomes because right now it's Burrowhead. Joe Burrow and the Bengals own Mahomes. Imagine he comes out in Arrowhead and slays Burrow on one leg. That's an amazing story. And it just shows you he's a superstar. He's a superhero. So that's their story. That's the angle the Chiefs have. But the Bengals have their story of Burrow's this cool, calm, collected. It doesn't matter who's the opposing. He can beat him.
Burrow is bad.
He's cold-blooded.
And when I mean bad, I mean he's woo.
He got that ice in the veins.
He's so cocky. And he was like, hey, Buffalo, because listen, that's the other thing too. They went and straight up made it as an afterthought that the Bengals weren't going to make it to the conference championship. They were like buying tickets, and pretty much the NFL was saying it's going to be in a neutral site. Here go the Bengals. Everybody's disrespecting them. They go into Buffalo and they smoke them. They smoked Buffalo.
In the snow.
In their own element, with all the storylines and DeMar Hamlin's tragedy and all that. And Buffalo got, wow. Listen, I don't usually like cocky dudes, because I'm kind of a low key cat. I secretly like Joe Burrow. He reminds me of Montana, but with more arrogance. Like if Montana was just a cocky bastard, that would be Joe Burrow right there. But anything else you guys want to hit on, or we'll get out of here?
Do you see that guy in the
Yeah,
chat,
man.
bro, with the name Niners Worst Takes?
Oh, thank you.
Formerly known.
Oh my God!
Is this another formerly known person?
Faked his
Dude,
injury.
people.
You're famous,
Jimmy's
bro.
starting
You're
next
famous,
week.
Aaron.
Dude, I got dude. The fact that I got people making freaking alternate accounts with my names in it is the best thing ever.
That's when
I
you know
have arrived.
you have, yeah.
You know what?
It's all about the haters.
Before we go though, I do have a line from the Rocky movie because they want to say that we're disrespecting the Rocky statue with putting a 49ers shirt on it. That's a sign of endearment, man. That's coming from one of the biggest Rocky fans of all time, myself. So I want to leave you guys with this line from the Rocky movie. You ain't down and you ain't never been out. You're just a jealous, lazy bum.
The bum.
I'm gonna break
You're
your
a
mouth.
bum.
Tax Sports Show said that was dumb. Y'all need to go watch Rocky, okay?
Take her to the zoo.
I don't know if the offense comes because they put a Niner jersey. I think the offense comes because they put Garoppolo's jersey on there.
Yeah,
No,
I don't think
Niner shirt.
There's
they realize.
there's another one that I saw with Garoppolo.
They did it last year when we played them. They did it last year.
I don't think they realize also, Brocky Balboa, that if this were a movie, the Eagles are Apollo Creed. They're
Yes.
the number 1 seed.
Right. They got
Come on, bro.
Bunch of marks.
they're Apollo Creed. The Eagles are freaking what's his name? They're Drago. Because they can't be beat. They
Mr.
won't be
T.
beat.
They're Mr.
Allegedly.
T.
Yeah. So in a way, the Niners are kind of playing the Rocky Balboa story with their little ass quarterback.
Rocky Balboa.
Rocky.
Rocky Balboa.
Oh, real quick, I want to ask you a question while you're here, Beto. I have to restart up my bonfire account where I can make shirts and cups. I need to make NWO shirts for us, big ones for us, big fat guys, so we could all wear them on Mondays. Just want to say,
Yeah, bro.
all right,
Anything
just letting you
let
know.
me know.
Anything anybody want to share about their channel? Anything going on Instagram Live, Raj? You need to talk about Eric Davis interview.
Hopefully he'll hop on, man. He's been busy. He's been dodging me this week. So it's all good.
I've been trying so hard to get Eric
I have
Davis on
the
my
same
channel,
problem,
and
you know.
I've given up. I'm just like, I'm not even going to do it anymore.
No, he's super busy. Actually,
Yes.
he comes on, but he's always got something going. But yeah, hopefully we'll get him on this week before the game on Sunday.
When I listen to Eric Davis, he's low key psychic sometimes with stuff he says on Twitter that ends up happening in games.
Yeah.
Or like we're all doubting the Niners, and he's like, I got no doubt, and then it happens, and you're like, does he know something that we don't know? So
he just knows the game, man. He knows the game. I respect his opinion every time he comes in.
I will say this: this game's close late, advantage Niners.
100%.
If this game is close late, advantage Niners. I'm not saying the Niners are going to come out and score 40 points on the Eagles, but if this game is close late, I believe more in the Niners than I do the Eagles, because I just think the Eagles are front runners. They've been kicking everybody's ass this year. You know what I mean? They've had zero. They've had, and maybe that's not an indictment on them. That's awesome that you kick everybody's behind, but maybe they haven't really dealt with any adversity. So we'll see, man.
They haven't been dealt with the adversity or like a tough situation. Like the Niners are 3-4.
Niners have been living through adversity since forever.
Forever. That's what their next man up mentality. Like they lived through the adversity. Like they're battle tested. Last year, the NFC Championship game, and like you said earlier, it's on Kyle. I feel like this is a Kyle Shanahan legacy game in the making. He has to come out here. He can't let the foot off the gas because we've seen it in the past. Amin said earlier, we're gonna see if it was Garoppolo or Kyle. Like this is gonna be a legacy game for him. If he makes this, if he wins this and gets to the Super Bowl, he very well could finally punch his ticket this year. And I think that he knows it. He's so close. He's so close.
We've been the bridesmaid and not the bride for so long. It'd be interesting to see if he can.
It's so close. I just out coaches Sirianni. I want to see Sirianni up this weekend.
You guys want to do some game predictions here on the panel?
Do it.
Let's do it.
Go ahead, Raj. Or go ahead, Wolf. You do it.
Let's do Aaron. Let's do Aaron first.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do Aaron,
Clockwise.
but he can go first.
Clockwise.
Of course, I'm going to pick the Niners to win because I'm a Niners fan.
You could have fooled me, my friend.
31-28. Niners win with a walk-off with Robbie Gould at the end.
Ballsy.
But here's the thing. The Niners are going to be down in this game. And they're going to somehow claw their way back in. The Eagles are going to come out with their anuses on fire. And it's going to be...
I don't want to know why.
Yeah, well, I have a couple reasons why. But yeah, 31-28. That actually works, right? Yeah, it's a 3-point victory. So it'll be like touch 28-28 apiece. Brock Purdy does some miraculous scramble to hit a wide open Kittle across the middle to set up Robbie Gould for the field goal. Boom, Niners win. And they go, and if they win, it's another opportunity to take 6. That's all I got to say.
I think you're kind of undershooting our defense a little bit just because we're so good in the red zone. Not to pick on you, Aaron.
No, that's okay.
I still love you, but they have a really good kicker over there, man. I think they're going to settle for a few field goals. So
yeah, it ain't the
I would give them a couple more field goals. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Go ahead.
Beto.
Okay. I'm gonna say 24-20 Niners in this game.
You called you guessed the same score I did on my show earlier. 24-20 Niners. Great minds think alike. And you know what it's gonna be? The Niners, I agree with Aaron. I think the Niners are gonna be down. They're gonna make the adjustments. They're gonna make a play. They're going to score the game-winning touchdown, and then the defense is going to seal the deal, and they're not going to allow the Eagles to make that game-winning touchdown drive. 24-20, they're going to be down 17-20, and Brock Purdy is going to hit Deebo Samuel for the game-winning touchdown.
Oh, I love it.
Back. Remember he told Kittle, put your backpack on? Guess who's putting the backpack on this weekend? It's going to be fucking George or Deebo Samuel. Backpack, legacy game, because last year he didn't get that moment. The tears, the OBJ, we saw the video, we saw all that.
That's right.
Debo's putting the team in the backpack. He's taking them to the Super Bowl. Deebo Samuel, game-winning touchdown from Brock Purdy. Defense shuts it down on a Fred Warner interception. And that's it. That's it. 24-29.
Let's go.
Yeah, man. What was the end of the comment you just put up?
He's actually being cool on like
I know.
He said, I respect the Niners, but all his brotherly love. Hope everyone stays healthy and it's a good game.
I appreciate that.
Exactly, man.
I don't want anybody getting hurt. If we're gonna beat the Eagles, I want to beat them full tilt. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want to. I mean, if somebody gets knocked out of the game, that's one thing. But like, I'm not going into the game saying, "Hey, we have to injure the quarterback," because I don't have confidence in any other way. No, I want to, because then if you beat them, because you know what the people on the television is the Macho Man used to say, the video scope, they're going to be like, well, the Niners only won because ... So no, I want everybody as healthy as possible.
Yeah.
Win big or lose big, but stay healthy.
I don't know about losing big. No, but I feel you. Yeah, man. That's the thing. Like I said earlier, if they're gonna come in here talking whatever, then I'm gonna roast them. But in all reality, I have a lot of respect for the Eagles team as far as they're a worthy opponent. I'm not gonna act like they're not. I know who we have in front of us, so I think it's gonna be a really hard-hitting game. And I'm predicting 27-20. But I also like 23-17, man. I think both sides are going to come out and really try to put an emphasis on ball security and discipline, right? And so they're not really going to get loose until later on in the game, I think. But we'll see.
Look at Gregory Green coming up with some facts.
He says, I'm an Eagles fan, and I'll be honest, we're losing this game. I don't know if that's truly an Eagles fan or if that's a Niners fan making a burner, but regardless, listen, man, we don't know what's really going to happen. So it's just a matter of we're going to find out.
one way, either we're going to be all fired up after the game,
Or
we're
depressed
gonna
talking
be,
off season. All of us going to be talking off season and
Yeah.
all our,
we're blowing
whichever
our
it's going to be.
mocos.
I can't believe it's Friday already, man.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
You know what the worst thing is about being Friday? I was supposed to get a call that was supposed to schedule my surgery that I've been waiting a month for. They still haven't called me. And I have to go bring another note to my job saying, hi, still out, still haven't had knee surgery. They're having an issue with New York State, getting hold of New York State to like re-up comp surgeries. Like they have to get permission for it.
Wow.
So like I should have had knee surgery like 2 weeks ago. This is insane. And the worst part of it is I have to take a COVID test 5 days before the surgery. So like I have to know. So
Yeah.
that's and I my physical therapist, I stopped going to him because it was like my knee hurts every time I'm here. And she told me that like the measurements were good and like that the strength seems good. So like there's really nothing to gain from physical therapy at this point. So yeah, I can't believe it's the end of January.
Hey, Aaron, before we go, I want to start off with you like we did first time. Predictions on the Kansas City and Bengals game. Who wins and what's the score?
As much as I don't want this, I think Kansas City avenges the last 3 losses.
Ooh.
But I think it's, and I don't know how, but like, I just think that the Mahomes injury has been very played up. I don't think it is what a lot of people are saying it is. Now it could be, but the fact that he's able to stay around and he's been practicing and running and all this, that, and the other, I think the Chiefs win by like 10 points, maybe 8, 30-23 or something like that, 30-24. I want to say the Bengals, but I mean, like, eventually someone's got to get off the schneid, right? You got to break the streak against losing to somebody. So, and really, if you think about it, like they're going into Arrowhead, so it's going to be a tough thing. Although, if they'd knock around Mahomes and he isn't able to move, and it is legitimate and it's a real injury, like some people think it is, I could see the Bengals, but I'm gonna pull the Chiefs just because I think it's just 4th time's a charm. 30-24.
Love it. What about you, Wolf?
Man, I don't know enough about this one, but I think the Bengals are going to get it done regardless of whether Mahomes is healthy or not. And I'm really curious. He pulled it out on one leg in this game. I don't know how badly it hurt, but I was surprised from the looks of it that it didn't snap. But Bengals, let's say Bengals 30-16.
Woo!
Wow.
Got a little bit of a
Wow.
whooping. Yikes.
Roger, what about
I
you,
don't
my
like
friend?
Mahomes, man.
So
I don't like him either, but only because he's really good. That's about it.
No,
these
he's
are
a
the
cheater.
best backs in the NFL, but
Yes.
they just proved it. Like
He's a cheater.
Yeah,
I like Josh Allen, but
He's a choke artist, though.
that he is him. This guy walked into, like we said, in the snow, cool, calm, collected. He's cocky, but he backs it up. And Mahomes is Mahomes. Like I hate the guy. I hate the Chiefs. I don't hate him. I hate the Chiefs, but I respect the hell out of Mahomes. I respect the hell out of Burrows. Bro, this team, it's such a hard game to pick because you don't. It's like you don't want to count out the Chiefs. It's stupid to count out the Chiefs.
Right.
But same token, you don't want to count out the Bengals. These are 2 teams you don't count out because they have great elite quarterbacks. They have good teams around them. The Bengals are playing really hot right now, just like they were last year in the playoffs. Andy Reid, though, is a phenomenal coach. He's been in this moment many times.
Masterclass.
Masterclass. We know, years before when he finally won the Super Bowl against the Niners, he was kind of like Kyle Shanahan, where he was waiting for that moment. So he knows what it takes. This man ran a ring around the posy play a couple weeks ago, and they scored a touchdown. Like, this guy's a phenomenal coach, game plan, game caller, game designer. But the Bengals, man, it's hard to pick against them. They have elite receivers. Their receivers, to me, are so good. But then you got Kelsey on the other hand. This is going to be such a close game. I think it comes down to like a 3-2 point. It's going to be like a 3-point game. This is going to be a shootout for all. Like, this game is going to be Burrow, Mahomes. This is going to, you want to know my final score? 44-41 Bengals.
I could totally see that.
This is
Yeah,
gonna be
it's definitely gonna be a shootout, and it's gonna be a high scoring game. You got two elite quarterbacks facing each other.
To me, they're the two best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Bengals have been playing good football. They have a trio of freaking receivers there. Their defense has been stepping up. Joe Cool, as even Joe Montana has said, he passed the mantle to him with a nickname Joe Cool. I'm taking the Bengals as well, and I think it's going to be 38-34 type of game. It's going to be up in the 30s easy, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the 40s, bro, because this is going to be up. The Niners and Eagles, low scoring.
Yeah.
If you like defense, Niners and Eagles. If you love offense, Bengals and Chiefs.
Yeah.
And the world of football, you're going to get both aspects of the platform on Sunday. So enjoy football.
Yeah. It's going to be a phenomenal weekend. I'm hyped up. At the end of the day, I really don't care who wins Kansas City and Cincinnati. If the 49ers make Super Bowl, they make Super Bowl. I don't care who they have to beat. But I do think that the Bengals are going to win this game. It's going to be an amazing.
3-1. I don't want the Chiefs to win, but I don't know. It's hard for me to see them losing 4 times in a row. But
yeah,
supposedly their quarterback is compromised. Supposedly,
Mahomes is super.
Even when Mahomes playing at his best, he still loses to Joe Cool.
Yeah.
It's not really Mahomes that loses to him. It's their defense.
Well, yeah,
their
you
defense.
know what I mean.
I'm saying they don't have a good defense enough. Although they do have Chris Jones, and he's a defensive.
Yeah, Chris Jones is a 49er killer.
He dominated us
every time we played them. He's up in everybody's ass, and I don't mean that in a good way. I mean that in a very, very bad way. I knew Wolf was going to laugh. Damn it! I saw that one.
Yeah, are you going to change it, bro? You can still have a chance.
He made it even worse by saying it not in a good way.
I said it.
Oh yeah. He made it worse.
What the hell?
I put the line in the water.
Oh no. Okay. Let's close out the show.
All right, guys.
Before the Eagles fans start talking about our jokes over here.
Yeah, they're gonna be talking about us doing stuff with the butt stuff and stuff. So, all right, everybody.
Don't speak for all of us in the chat.
Thank you, everyone, for supporting the chat and being in here all night. We love you all. Thank you, Raj, for coming through yet again.
Always, baby.
Wolf, I'm so glad
awesome,
you're my co-host for Friday, that you can deal with my absolutely ridiculous humor. So everybody have a good night. We'll see you next week, regardless of the situation. And I think we'll be talking about a Niners victory next week.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, we'll be talking Super Bowl or bust. All right, guys. Everybody have a good night. Talk to you later.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.